Hello everybody. Today on Pole Position RC we are going to be showing you how to get to the axles of the HPI Venture FJ Cruiser. So basically it's quite simple really, but we did want to show you, just in case you're curious, the back axle's the easiest one. You're just going to be taking apart the, once you get the wheels off, which involve taking off the hubcaps and the wheel nuts. I'm going to be taking off the wheel clamps with a 1.5 mil hex wrench. So we'll just do that real quick. And once you get that off, you have a small pin screw. So just make sure and keep that safe so you don't lose it. Definitely don't want to be losing that. And then you get the other one off. The same thing. Once you've got the wheel hub adapters off, you're going to need to use a 5.5 mil box wrench, and you can use the one that comes with the kit, but it's sometimes a little bit better to use a tool one, a proper heavy-duty one, but it comes off easily enough. It's just a little 5.5 mil M3 lock nut, and we'll get the other one off if we can get the screw, the nut out. Of course, it's stuck in place. There we go. But that keeps it handy so you don't lose either of them. Just gonna prop up something here. So we got some little jack stands. Then there we go, got that off. And now the shocks are off. And now it's basically just the suspension links holding that in place. So we're just going to get at that with a 2 mil. Quite a long screw. Very long screw. Okay, now we need to get at the clamps holding on the lower links. Okay, so that's off, and we've got the drive shaft off as well. So we'll just set these up so we don't lose any pieces. And there we go. So we're going to just take off, just move this out of the way a bit. Just going to spin this, take off. That'll be a pin going through there, I think. Yes. Okay, and then again, we're going to screw that back in place. And now we've got the drive shaft. It's the axle itself. So I'm going to get the straight bits off here. Now the reason why we would be doing this is so that we can grease the axles to make them nice and waterproof. And also just to show you guys what is inside these axles here. Now, of course, you can get at them just using the diff covers. And to show you what that is like, these are going to be quite long screws because they're going to be going all the way through these pieces here. So it'd actually be handy to have a motorized bit. I don't have one for a 1.5 though. It's a very long screw. So if you ever wanted to check your diff lockers or grease your diff gears or anything like that, this is the easy way to do it. Of course, what I'm doing is I'm going to be using grease along the seam of the axle. So once we get these pieces off here, I'm going to be using grease along here just to seal it so that it's watertight, basically. And also going to put it along this edge of the diff case. Okay, so now we've got these screws out. Just need a little bit of a tool help to get to that. Take the metal diff case off. You can see all the grease that's already in there on those ball bearing supported locked diffs. And we'll just pop open. There we go. So it looks like plenty of grease is already on the axles. But what I'm going to do is just get a nitrile glove on so that I can get some of this stuff on there. Now, this is not marine grease. I know a lot of people say, use marine grease is the only thing you should use. But to be honest, this is pretty good stuff already. It's going to really prevent loads of corrosion, and it's already waterproof. It's nice and tacky, as it says right there. And you can see it in place there. And basically, just going to smear this on all of the joints. And in my mind, it's not going to kill anything if it mixes with this blue grease. So I'm actually going to make sure it's smeared all around the edges and not worry at all if it is going to get mixed in with that blue grease. So now waterproofing or sealing the axles like this is one of those things that everybody who goes crawling recommends to do. And a lot of people say to not put too much grease in there. So I'm making sure not to, but I do want to make sure that it gets around every possible opening, and then I can wipe it off afterwards. Once I've got this all reinstalled, I can wipe it off again with a rag. So now those holes there that hold the axle straighteners, I'm going to make sure that those are covered over as well from the inside and the outside, because remember there's going to be screws that go in those. And while I'm at it, I'm going to grease up the bottom of this pinion gear. See if I can trying to keep it off my fingers, but you know, you can't keep it all away completely, so it's all right. And also, it's also keeping, making sure it's getting on all the bearings also, because these bearings, they're not rubber sealed; they're just metal shielded bearings, and I don't want to be replacing them constantly. And it doesn't matter if it's really sticky grease that's going on them, because you know, I used to do touring car racing, so it doesn't really matter too much. As I'm looking for a rag, it doesn't matter too much if heavy grease gets on the bearings. And I'm just gonna smear this on the teeth a bit more. It seems to all have gotten bunched up, and oh, it's grabbed a screw. I don't want to lose that. That is some sticky stuff. So you can see, once you get this apart, you can see how there's like sort of a lip to the axle casings. And that's to help keep the grime and dust out. But the grease here will help keep the water out, which is the really important thing that we want to keep out. So nearly done. And get those screw holes. Now, I've seen a lot of people do things like get a grease gun, and because the proper marine grease that a lot of people like to use, obviously I'm sure it's top quality stuff, but I think it's a little, maybe just a little bit unnecessary to go to the lengths of getting a grease gun and when you know, marine grease is being used on these full-size trailers and boats and things like that, when you know, we're not going to those sorts of lengths with our crawler trucks here. Okay, so now that we're very messy, and I'm still looking for a rag I can use. I don't see one. Anyway, I put that pinion gear in wrong. Make sure the pinion gear is on the inside, folks, not the outside. What I'm doing, I'm going to use the end of the pinion gear to make sure that the inside of this bearing is greased nicely. Just kind of shove a bunch of grease through there. Alright, so this is quite a bit messier than I'd originally envisioned, but you know, greasing car parts, it just comes with the territory. Okay, now we're nearly back together. Well, we're getting there. We're getting there. And we'll just get a nice big glob in there again. All right. So let's just make sure that this connection is nice and waterproof. Okay, so there we go. You can see that there's plenty of grease in there, and it's squeezing out a bit, and that is fine. So what we're going to do is basically just wipe that down, reattach everything, and reinstall it. And while we're at it, we're going to make sure that all the bearings here are nicely greased up, and these the drive shafts are greased, and any that's left out that squeezes out, just make sure and wipe that off, because that's where dust and whatnot is going to be collecting on them. So you don't want that. You want it to be greased, but you don't want it to be oozing out everywhere as you're driving along. And then this just becomes a sort of a regular maintenance item that you'll be checking on your truck. Okay, so I think that about covers it. If you have any questions, be sure to put them in the comments down below, and I'll get to them, or someone else will, as soon as I can. And if you have any comments, please let me know what you think. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up. Click that like button down there. So that's it for this video. Make sure and watch the rest of the playlist and see how you can modify and tweak and work on your venture. So that's it from me, and check out polepositionrc.com and the rest of the YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.